Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing the rate monotonic algorithm, and then we'll probably do earliest deadline first in the next video. So let's not pull any punches. Let us just go in right into it. The first thing we have to identify is which process has the higher priority. As you can see, P2 has the least amount of processing time. That means this is high priority. And then I'm just going to prio. Not that it really matters. It is always just good to mark it. That way you don't forget. So the very first thing that we need to do is draw the Gantt chart. Drawing the Gantt chart is not bad at all. So we can use paint to draw a straight line. Boom. And then we also want to identify halfway points. It's good practice to do double of the highest period. So we're going to do 150. And then for simplicity, I'm just going to do 80 just because the math works out better. And then 0. Then obviously we want to do another halfway point just because the second process executes every 40 time units. So we want to account for that. And then this one is 120. All right. So these two processes start at 0. But obviously, only one of them will execute at 0. That is where the whole priority process comes into play. Since P2 has the higher priority, that is going to be the one that gets executed first. And that gets executed for a total of 20 time units. And this is P2's block. So now that we finished executing the first process, whatever process was in the block and has the next highest priority goes next. So we go up to 20 more blocks. The reason why we stop at 20 blocks is because look at how many times P2 executes. It executes every 40. So that means it executes here, it executes here, it executes here. It executes at 160, but the period ends at 150, so we don't do that. Also with P1, P1 will execute every 75, including 0. So it'll execute here, it'll execute here, and it'll also execute at the very end. Because of this, we have to account for that. Remember that the processing time of P1 is 35. So it only can go up to 20 more before the next process kicks in. And I do believe, let's draw that. So then what happens in this process is that this takes over, and then P1 will have to stove off for another day. So let us draw the box for that. I think I'll just go make a box like that. All right. So then P2 only runs for about 20. So let's hit that midway point. All right. So then this is P2's block. It only ran for 20 because it had a processing time of 20. Let's go to the next one. And by the next one, I mean P1. Remember that P1 still has a remaining processing time of 15. This is because P2 was first because it had higher priority. P1 tried to execute 20 of its processing time, but it was interrupted by P2. Now that we have time free, we can finish what we started on P1. And then we still have enough time to do the rest of the Gantt chart. So let's see how much we have left. Currently, this is at 60. So we'd be at 60 right here. So we have a 15 remaining time for P1. So this means we can draw the box. And then we finish. This is P1. This is 15. We finish just as the second, the P1 at the 75 mark. This is the 75 mark. So the P1 at the 75 mark starts at the time unit of 75. So this first P1 executes and finishes just in time for the second P1 to start. If this was just even a little bit later, then the round robin scheduling, I apologize, then the rate monotonic algorithm would fail, and then it wouldn't continue after that. So now that P1, this first P1 is finished, we can start scheduling the second one. Notice how there's another process right after. This means that this P1 will only run for about 5 time units. Apologies for my terrible handwriting. So then this P1 only goes for 5. And then it stops. It is stopped by P2. It is important to note the remaining processing time. We only ran for 5 units. So we have a remaining processing time of 30. Alright, so let's start with P2. So the processing time is 20. We all know that. So let's draw the box. And then this would be 100. And then nothing is hindering this, so I can keep going. So this would be P2, and it went for about 20 blocks. Good, good, yes, yes. Remember, we still have P1 from earlier to deal with. And let's see. If you want to do the math for this, it would be, 100 plus 30, which is 130. But keep in mind, once again, we are only able to move about 20 more units of time before getting interrupted by the next process. So this would be P1, and then P1 would only be able to move 20 before getting interrupted. This means that we have a remaining burst time of 10 more units. And then let's look at P2. We obviously know that P2 has a processing time of 20, so we just continue that 20 like so. There. So this would be P2. It ran for about 20. And then good, good, yes, yes. So we still have the remaining P1. So we still have the remaining processing time of P1. So we still have to account for that. Since this ends at 130, I apologize. Since this ends at 140, we have just enough time for P1 to finish before it starts the next P1 cycle. Let's see. So this would be P1, and then it runs for 10. And it runs just in time. It's like a fairy book ending. All right. This question also, so it asks us, would they miss their deadlines? Will these two processes miss their deadlines? It doesn't, because of the fact that everything gets scheduled by the time the next process happens. If they miss their deadline, it means that one of the processes is essentially trying to overlap itself. Because no overlapping happens between each respective process, these two processes do not miss their deadlines. At least that's how I see it. And then calculate the CPU utilization. If there are any mistakes, please let me know. Let's see. The CPU utilization, let me see. The CPU utilization is simply the processing time over the period for all of the respective processes. So it would be 35 over 75 plus 20 over 40. Okay, and then that is 0.9667. That's my understanding of rate monotonic algorithm. If I'm wrong, please let me know, just because this is still a new concept for me as well. Thank you for your time for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Oh, 10 minutes, baby. Let's go.